So since it's almost Christmas, I thought I would let you know some of my favorite Christmas films to watch. The first one is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, made in 1964. Now, I think this is probably the one me and my mom like to make fun of the most while we're watching it, all in good spirit, but Santa doesn't come off too great in that, so yeah. When you're watching the film, you can tell that it is done in stop motion, and each puppet is made out of fabric, wood, and wire, and they're really fragile, so the Japanese company that created them made several copies of each puppet. In 1964, when Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer first aired, it did not have the ending that we are familiar with. It ended with just Santa going off with Rudolph, and when that aired, they received tons and tons of complaints of people saying, hey, what about the misfit toys? Santa totally ignored that. Rudolph never told him. Why did they get left out? So now we are left with what we are very familiar with, is when Santa comes to the Misfit Toys Island and gathers up all the toys, flies off, and gives them to children. So they quickly filmed that, and that's what we have now. Next is Santa Claus is Coming to Town. That was done in 1970. It is narrated by Fred Astaire, and Mickey Rooney does Santa Claus's voice. And another one is Frosty the Snowman, done in 1969. Now these three films that I have just mentioned were all written by Romeo Mueller, and especially Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Santa Claus is Coming to Town have a very similar look. He also wrote many more Christmas short animated films that I actually haven't heard of, which I was really surprised of. Next is a Charlie Brown's Christmas, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. It was done in 1965, and it was the first animated Peanuts special. When the creators first watched the rough cut, they were sure that it was going to be a flop. But today the show remains the second longest running Christmas special on TV in the US. The first is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in 1964. Another favorite is Mickey's Christmas Carol, done in 1983. Now Disney has done a bunch of other kind of Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse specials. There's one with Chip and Dale, which I love, and there's also a Nutcracker version that they've done. But this is my favorite version of A Christmas Carol. Now my favorite animated Christmas film is How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I don't know, the Grinch just stole my heart, and I absolutely love it. It was done in 1966, and me and my family always watch it on Christmas Eve when we get home from my grandparents' house. It is narrated by Boris Karloff, who is famous for doing a lot of old Hollywood horror films, and he also does the Grinch's voice. But Thurl Ravenclaw sings You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, and sings part of a chorus in 2 other songs, but he never received any screen credits. So because of this, he was obviously upset and wrote to every major American columnist. He also provides the voice for Tony the Tiger in the TV commercials. Now obviously How the Grinch Stole Christmas is written by Dr. Seuss and is a much-loved book, and for the animated film, they based all their illustrated drawings in the film on Dr. Seuss. But when seeing how the Grinch was illustrated, he thought the Grinch more closely represented Chuck Jones, who is one of the directors of the film, than his own Grinch. And if you look up an image of Chuck Jones, this is actually kind of true. I could kind of see it. But Chuck Jones is also the one who convinced Dr. Seuss to create his much-loved book into a film, which I'm forever grateful for because I love it. So that is my list of my favorite animated movies, and I hope you enjoyed them. And I feel like I'm talking in a weird voice, but that's okay. All of the gestures. I hope you learned about new ones because that'd be cool, and if you didn't, then too bad. Bye guys, I hope you have a lovely day.